All right. Why don't we go ahead and get started? Aloha, everyone, and welcome online as well through Akaku as well as to our social media platforms. If you're just joining us at the door, come on in. We have a few announcements before we start. And always, we advise you that our meetings are recorded and live streamed. So please know that. You'll also see our federal and state partners doing that as well. Yes, Kai Palayo. You can duck under the camera. Every week we come before you and we're in such a difficult time. So we just want to be sure that you know that with us here tonight in the yellow tablecloth table here, please feel free to visit one of our crisis counselors who are there, or you can also always text 988 for support and help. You can call the hotline directly or chat 24/7 online. But they are here before, during, and after our meeting, our crisis counselors. So please feel free to make use of them while they're here. And next to them, in the white table with a white sign, is our prayer table for those who need to seek and want to seek support through our faith leaders and our faith community. Please, they are here for you as well. Please go to see them and join them at any point in time during the meeting, before or after. It's a team that's here as a service from the community. And a new addition in the blue tablecloth, you see voter registration. What they're trying to do is they want you as residents of Lahaina to go and see them if you need to update your mailing address or you need to confirm your mailing address. So please stop by and see them. They'll be here at every community meeting we have going forward so that you can just drop in and see them. Just make sure, double check that your information is correct. It is an election year. A lot of you have moved around. Some folks have changed their mailing address as well. So we just want to make sure that service is here for you. And on the far end, right by the speakers, we have foreign language speakers here to help for interpretation here this evening. They offer languages in Ilocano, Tagalog, Spanish, and Tongan. So they are here to support anyone who might need and who has English as a second language. So please visit them. They're here every week. Sometimes the languages will be enhanced or extra ones will be added as well. So again, tonight, Ilocano, Tagalog, Spanish, and Tongan are available on the far end. All right. Oh, a lot of announcements. Some good stuff. If you want to go to a senior fair, April 27th on Saturday, which is this Saturday from 9 to 2, is a West Maui Senior Fair. Please go holo holo, or bring a friend, or bring someone, and enjoy the day. Our host, Kathy Collins, will be there. She's always good fun. So if you need a break, please attend this Saturday. And there's a thing called Kaunoa Clubhouse put on by the county's Housing Human Concerns. It's been going on. Apparently, it's like the best kept secret that our seniors have. So I'm pretty excited. I haven't been to one of these, but May Day, they're having May Day next week, Thursday. There's Tili for Memorial Day. And there's this really popular bingo blast that's coming up May 30th. So this is led by the county and supported by our team there. And we wanted to show you what it looks like. It's called a Kaunoa Clubhouse by Kaunoa Senior Services. And please go and visit and join in on the fun. If you win bingo, I don't know what you win, but it might be kind of cool. So you can come back and report to us if you win the bingo. And I know tonight is really hot, so for Kupuna here and anyone, the bottled waters are available for you. We had the first Kilauea Mauka neighborhood planning workshop last Saturday. We talked about it for a few weeks. We finally held it last Saturday up at Lahaina Luna Cafeteria. It was a huge turnout, over 220 something, a little under 250 people attended. It was like a reunion, massive reunion. So it was pretty neat to see everybody visit their neighbors. The next one coming up, and you'll see they did breakout areas where they talk about streets, about utilities, about housing, about public safety. All of these topics were led by the county's community planning focus group. So that team went in and met with everyone and held discussions. They were able to take a look at the street maps and talk a little bit about what those expectations are. The next neighborhood planning workshop is Wahikuli. So Wahikuli neighborhood, your neighborhood planning workshop is on Saturday, May 4th. Not this Saturday, next Saturday. So every neighborhood planning workshop will be for a specific area. You can check the schedule as they get announced on the MauiRecovers.org website. But this is your turn, Wahikuli, to sit in. Also visit your neighbors. Just show up and, check it out. If you need access to disaster case management help, call 211. When you call 211, it'll be a helpline. You'll hear the options. It talks about a disaster option. Press that number, and you'll get routed through the process to get connected to a navigator of the system. So that's a real life person. And that person will help address the questions you have and try to point the way through whatever you need help navigating. They've been operating since November and ramping up as the months go through. So far, they've assisted, I'm told, a little over 500 individuals. So don't call 911, call 211. Okay, 211 will get you through that. Press the option for disaster services, talk to that person, and make that connection and give your question or whatever your need is. All right, so tonight, and for those of you looking for the temporary disposal site version of the report, I'm told that there's a condensed version on it now. So if you go back to MauiRecovers.org and are looking for the Olowalu temporary disposal site information, you'll find the report there in a smaller version. It won't overload your computer. It should be opening now, and it should help you get the access to the information. So tonight, we have a really packed agenda. And for those of you watching and interested, the slides are shown on our social media page. So some of you are watching simultaneously on your phone, so you can see it. They're also broadcast live and posted on our page, and we don't erase it. So please go back and look for the information if you need it. Tonight, you're going to get an update on the debris clearing. We're going to hear a little bit about the process for determining hazardous trees. That was a question that came up last week about that. I want to assure you on how it's done. It's not done randomly. So we'll let Army Corps of Engineers speak to that. We asked Red Cross to come and talk a little bit about the meal program status and be available for questions as well. You're going to hear from the Department of Health on nearshore sampling that they're doing this week, actually a few days. They're actively doing it right now. I've seen pictures of them on the water. So they are doing nearshore sampling efforts. Status of drinking water sampling and the isolation will be covered by EPA tonight. We're going to hear how it's going at Kalai'ola, which is the housing project that Joe Campos from the State Department of Human Services came and talked to you about almost a month ago. So we kind of want to know how's it going with the state housing. And you'll hear from, on insurance, you're going to hear from an organization tonight called United Policyholders. Did I get that right? United Policyholders, to talk about if you're insured. What are your options? What things should you be looking out for? And what services they provide free of charge. So they can help navigate the insurance needs and questions. And of course, we'll do a Q&A. So big agenda. We'll take questions at the end. Same thing, raise your hand, and then we'll do our best. At this time, I'm going to turn this over to Mayor Bisson. I'm not sure if Councilmember Paulton is here yet. If not, we'll welcome her a little later. Mayor?
So aloha, Lahaina. I just want to say thank you for continuing to come out every week. Obviously, that shows all the interest you have, or we're not answering your guys' questions. So you got to keep coming back and ask us a question, and we're going to try to get that to you. That's the whole goal of us having this week. These meetings are only worthwhile if they're productive for you folks. So that's what these meetings are for. These meetings are for us. These meetings are for you guys. So please, thank you to continue being engaged. I want to recognize and thank our advisory team from this side. I see Kim Ball, I see Kaliko Store, and I saw Lori DeGama over here. So I want to say thank you to them for all the work they put in on behalf of your guys' community, getting us the information we need back at the county as well. And again, our goal is to get to the experts so that we can get to you guys' questions. Thank you, and we'll be here for the rest of the night.
Thank you, Mayor. Before we turn it over to Colonel Swenson, just want to remind everybody that next week's meeting, next week, the DRC, the Disaster Recovery Center, will be ending its services here at the Civic Center. But stay tuned for where you can go for services, because many of them are looking for ways to still continue to offer services here in Lahaina town. We'll get an update from the Office of Recovery next week on how it's going to opening the Office of Recovery office here in Lahaina, which will also be a big move for us. And speaking of meetings, last week we had almost 500 attend the homeowners meeting, so we'll be doing another one in May. We're going to continue and keep trying to address for homeowners what those needs are. And I do realize that we're also going to be scheduling what we said we would, which is a meeting for commercial properties as well as we get move forward. At this time, is council member here yet? I know they're in budget, so she's been a little busy. We'll move on to Colonel Swenson. Colonel?
Aloha. How's everyone doing? Good. Well, I'm pumped to be here. I'm really, really excited. Saturday, we turn 100 days of debris removal. It'll be 100 days on Saturday that we started primary residential debris removal. And my crystal ball's in the shop, but I'm pretty sure if it wasn't in the shop, on Saturday morning, it would read two numbers. Cleared, 800. Big C complete, 300. Now, I said my crystal ball's in the shop. I can tell you what we are at today. Today, we are little C cleared, 774. Big C complete, 289. So we picked up 18 homes today, properties today that we cleared of debris, which means we homes closer, lots closer to getting Lahaina turned back over to you so you can rebuild your lives on your properties here in this beautiful town. I also wanted to give a quick update. I know I get questions about Kahoma Village. That debris removal process has started. It started today. It's going to take us a little time, but I know that's, for those that live in that area, that's exciting because there's lots of standing homes. And once we get rid of that debris, I know a lot of you that live in there, or friends that live in there, will just feel better, right? Feel better about those homes. And trees. So we talked, I think it was 2 weeks ago, about trees. All of the hazard and hazardous trees have been marked for removal. And we marked those during phase 1 with a series of arborists, local arborists who helped us. I am a tree guy. I love trees. And we don't just cut trees for the sake of cutting trees. But we cut trees because we have to, well, some trees, when there's no bark on it, right? There's no chance that tree is going to live another day and flower. But we have to balance public safety with our love of trees, right? And when it's questionable, our arborists that we hired erred on the side of public safety, because we don't want one of these large trees branches to fall off and injure one of you or one of us. We have, on very rare occasions, we have gone back and reassessed a few trees, especially in areas where there was really no threat to public safety in big fields. And we have maybe counting on one hand. We have overturned a few of our initial rulings, but those are really by exception, and that was done again by a local arborist who knows, county arborist who knows the trees better than anyone. But that's basically the process. So if you're looking at your lot and you see the primary debris removed, maybe you see the erosion control down, and you still see some trees with blue marks, don't worry. Don't worry. We've got you covered. Before we turn that rights of entry back to the county, we will make sure we do an inspection of that property and take care of any of those hazardous trees or hazard trees that are left on your property if they're marked. So I hope that answers maybe any concerns about trees. And also, while I have the mic, I just wanted to share more good news. I know Joe's going to talk to us about his good news with housing. We have the 169 unit housing group site that's Malka of Fleming Road. That project has been awarded and we haven't broken ground. We haven't broken ground yet, but we are moving in that direction. And I know you're thinking, gosh, 169, that's a small number. You just told me 800. Gosh, what if you said 800, why can't you say something closer to that for housing? I would love to. 169 is a small number of houses, but every bit of housing that we can put in the ground to help people manage and buy time until their homes are ready is needed, and we're happy to help the county and you and the state get some quality homes that you can move into in the short term until your homes, your primary residences are rebuilt and ready for occupation. If you have a concern, we have a call center number. Tracy right now is my call center person, and she's very nice, and she'll field your questions. If you don't have the phone number, it's located on Mallory Recover's website under the Corps of Engineers. It's an 808 number. There's also an 877 number, but there is an 808 number that we'll call you back on. And if you have questions about housing or debris removal, you can always check our frequently asked questions on that same webpage and look there first. You might get your question answered. If you don't, you can ask me today, or you can ask our call center, or you can ask me when I'm out walking around the streets checking on the progress of bringing your properties to a better state so you can rebuild. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel. Before we bring up EPA's Incident Commander Carl Banks, I'm going to ask Dwayne Sparkman, who's a founder of Tree Recovery, to share with you where you can go for more information for what his organization does. Dwayne?
Hi, guys. I'm Dwayne Sparkman. I'm the Arborist Committee Chairman for Maui County. Thank you. Didn't expect that. Just to let you guys know, I only have 1 minute now, probably 58 seconds. treecoveryhawaii.org. Look it up. Hit the contact us button. Send us an email. Please let us know what's going on. We will reach out to you with a survey. We want you to fill that survey out. It'll let us know what trees you lost so we can start sourcing those trees for you. They are free. They will cost you nothing. But that's our program, is to raise funds and give you guys all the trees that you lost for no cost. You can save that money for other things, okay? Thank you. So please look up treecoveryhawaii.org, contact us, fill out the survey, get your free trees, get on the registry. We've got roughly 3,000 trees growing already in hubs around the whole island. We're working with the top mango growers, the top citrus growers, all the native tree growers around the whole island. It's all going to be local. We're going to keep the money here. We want it to stay here. So please reach out to us. We're here to help you. We're also working in Kula. We've already planted one property in Kula. So we're here to help you guys get trees back on your property. We want to start growing them now so you will have fruit on the tree when it goes in the ground. We understand that this little tiny 3-foot tall thing that you can buy at the store right now, your grandkids aren't going to see those fruit. So we want to make sure that you have shade when you move home and you have fruit when you move home. So that's what we're here for, treecoveryhawaii.org. Look us up. We're here to help. Thank you for your time.
Aloha. I don't know if you remember me. It was last year on, I think, the 13th of March. I was dressed the exact same way. so maybe it jogs your memory. I kind of have only these clothes. And it was tough to have to follow the tree guy because I don't have free trees for you. So making it hard. I'm here, by the way, I just want to say, I really feel the aloha, right? I've been coming here for a while, all my life actually, but this response and this community and you people have been so wonderful to us. So welcoming, so supportive, and I just feel the act of aloha every single day. So thank you for that. I'm going to be brief, which I know should be the biggest round of applause. I'm going to be really brief. I hope, and I asked if I could come back next week and go into a little more detail. So tonight is just to sort of say hello, we're still here, we're still working. So our current activities here in Lahaina. We are still doing ESF3. It's the water and wastewater. As you know, the wastewater side is complete, and that information is with the county, and they're working on doing their part to make the repairs they need to get wastewater back up and going. We're here still on drinking water. So we're almost done with hydrant sampling. You see 98%. You might say, what's up with those last 3 hydrants? So our friends at Army Corps are going to be moving a pile of debris that is blocking access to those hydrants, to the valves that control those hydrants. So shortly that will be 100%. That's just a logistical thing, and it's not easy to get a debris pile moved right now. So thankfully I have some friends who can help accomplish that. We are now 43% complete with our drinking water laterals. So these are the lines from the main line to the meter box that may have been damaged by the fire directly, or contaminants were introduced when the structure was burning and the water left the pipes and it drew contaminants into the pipes. So that's the sampling we're doing now. If we find any contamination, any damage, we're then going to go to the isolation phase where we cut the line at the main line and cap it. This protects the rest of the water system from the potential damage and contamination. This is generally what cut and cap operations are looking like. We plan to start next week. In fact, if I talk to you next week, I expect to be telling you about those operations having been started in the sort of priority areas, right? Puamana, Waikuli, the areas where we can restore service, where their people have homes. Yep, I'm looking at you. My friend Pam, yes, we've talked. So that's, according to the mayor and the county and the community, that's the priority areas, and we are working currently there. So while we're saying it's 43%, we're closer to higher percentages in those priority areas because of the urgency in those areas. When we do find the contaminants, this is kind of what the cut and cap operation is. We dig a hole, we find the pipe, we cut the pipe that's contaminated, we cap it, and then we know that the water in the main line is protected. We have stood up a website to show this progress. You can access it here at epa.gov/Maui-wildfires, and you have to scroll down until you see that button and click on the button called Story Map. And there's a full description of all of our operations, the progress we're making, and so you can kind of keep tabs on us. That gets updated every single day. And with that, for more information, there's some websites here for more information. You have a contact phone. We will answer that phone pretty much all week long, Monday through Saturday. I think it's 7 to 7. And behind on that very unadorned table, sort of behind Curtis there, are a few fact sheets about what we're doing. So if you want a little more information tonight, you can go grab a fact sheet. There's also the county's infrastructure update fact sheet back there as well, frequently asked questions. If you'll indulge me, if you recall, I'm the guy that likes to try to learn Hawaiian. And we've adopted, or we are very much taking in some Hawaiian knowledge. Forgive me if I don't do this right. Aohe hana nui ke alu ia. And those of you who don't know, that means no task is too big when done together. And that's what we're doing here for you. So thank you so much. We couldn't do it without you. Mahalo.
Aloha. Uh, My name is Kathy Ho. I am the Deputy Director for Environmental Health at the Department of Health. Um, it's so nice. It's been a while since I've been here, and it's so nice to see familiar faces and some new faces. And as always, you guys are just so gracious. So thank you for that. I wanted to announce a couple of things. First, I wanted to say that several weeks ago, I don't know if you read in the paper that the Department of Health issued a press release. It was in collaboration with some of our partners, the University of Hawaii, DLNR, and Surfrider. In that press release, we said that the water was safe to recreate, to go in and swim. And as a consequence of that, we are going to continue to do monitoring of the nearshore water to ensure that the water is continuing to be safe to recreate. The map here, we are in the process. I don't know if you noticed, but today and throughout the week, we are going to have people out on kayaks taking samples. They're going to be taking samples at 8 locations, starting from Olowalu north to Ka'anapali. Sorry, I see people are squinting. But that's generally where we're going to be sampling. And what we're going to do, we're going to take 8, like I mentioned, we're going to have 8 separate locations that we're going to do sampling. And what we're sampling for is nitrites, and we're also sampling for water chemistry, and also for heavy metals, those metals that we believe may have, there may be some exposure as a result of the fires. So that would be lead, that would be arsenic, that would be cobalt. So those heavy metals we're also going to be testing. In addition, we're going to be testing sediment. And so what we've done is, just after the fire, DLNR took some samples, and we found that the results were that was safe. The sediment didn't pose a significant health risk. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue to sample the sediment in varying locations. We're going to do this in collaboration with Hui, with a nonprofit, and with some other state and federal state agencies. So when we get that settled, we will we post most of our results, all of our results on the website, so we'll also do that. In addition, we're going to be doing something called beach sampling. But what that really means is we're going to be sampling the sand. And we're going to be sampling at Baby Beach and Canoe Beach. And we're going to be sampling at a third location which wasn't impacted by the fire. And why we're doing that is so that will be the control. And so once we do those samples, it will tell us whether we need to do further sampling of all the sand as in this area. But we're going to use those 2 beaches in Lahaina as our beaches that we've selected. We're also, we're going to be testing for heavy metals, and so we can ensure that it's safe for you guys to recreate. We will be here if anyone has any questions. Thank you.
All right, we're going to call out from the American Red Cross, Mary Simpkins. Mary?
Hi. Aloha Lahaina. I'm also very glad to see you all again this week. First, I'll start off with our daily shelter count from last night. We had 2,030 individuals across 8 sites. That comprises 800 households. And I'll get right into the topic Mahina asked me to speak about, which is the change in the emergency meal feeding program. So back in February, when at the direction of the state of Hawaii, we ended the meal feeding program in condos, we have not seen a significant spike in need for additional food services in the condo sites. The split of households is almost exactly 60-40 hotels and condos. So when the meal service decreased April 15th to 1 meal a day, that affected, again, about 60% of our households. Prior to that change, we were finding that the average meal pickup was about 1 meal per person per day. Of course, that might reflect some people getting 0 and some getting 3. So just to make sure, we engaged the Maui Emergency Feeding Task Force to let them know of this change. And during our twice weekly wellness checks with clients, we're having those conversations to make sure everybody has their food needs met. And as of today, we have not seen a significant spike in need. But the way that our processes work to protect client privacy is we connect client households directly with the resources as needed, such as Meals on Wheels or other services that can help meet that need. Through a partnership with Maui Food Bank, we're supporting a fixed food hub here in Lahaina that is projected to be operational by the end of May or early June. Some folks from Maui Food Bank will be out next week to talk to you all a little bit more about that. So we're just continuing to talk with our clients, make sure they have everything they need, whether it be food, medical supplies, or any other additional help. And of course, we continue to really cheer on those of our clients who are moving into their more stable and secure intermediate housing option. I will, of course, be available afterward for any questions. Mahalo.
Aloha, everyone. Joe with Department of Human Services for the state. Basically, just giving you an... Oh, okay. I don't know how this works. Hold on. Nope. Okay, there we go. Okay, so giving you an update on the Kalaiola project. Those of you that live in Leali'i 1A, you're probably well aware that we already started rock crushing and grubbing and grading this past week and part of last week as well. This is what the map looks like now. And I know I'm supposed to stay in the area here, but forgive me. If you remember the map that I showed last time, we also had some homes over here, north of the gulch. We felt that because we didn't want to have like a separation, it would be better to put everything south of the gulch. And so we're actually having, you know, right now this is 17 pods, or 17 smaller communities of about 17 to 18 homes. And that is for 270, which will be ready in August. Okay, so in a few months. And then we will be building the second phase, which is an additional 180 homes, which are the squares above that. And just to give you a sense of what's going on, right? These are the photos of the rock crushing that you might be hearing. If there's any questions or concerns, please reach out to me or go to the website kalaiola.org, and there's a button where you can submit a question, and we'll be reaching out to you. We're also going to be reaching out to you as they start doing more work on the site, just so that those in Leali'i 1A will be aware of what's going on. So I'm taking a short break, or I'm going to take a short time, and now turn it over to Malia Davidson from Maui. She's our Community Outreach Director, Manager for the DCMP, and she's going to talk about 211.
Aloha mai kako. Good evening. Okay, everybody take a deep breath, because there's plenty of information now that's come at you guys. So I'm going to ask you to hold your 2 fingers up just for a moment. And then I want you to hold this finger up. 211. How many have heard about that number? Raise your hands. Okay, many of you have not. 211. If we want to have more services, if you have unmet needs that has happened, yeah, whether it's you need more services with mental health, or if you need all the way up to the building of your home, call this number. This will lead you eventually to disaster case managers. 211. Hands again. 211. 211. 211. They only gave me 1 minute. So remember that number and share that number with everyone you know that has been in this space who are surviving with you or need to be thriving. We want you to be thriving. Our mayor wants that. Our community wants that for all of you. And you can contact us there. Please. Mahalo.
And Malia, I'm sure will be here afterwards. So please see her. And for the 211, that was a good, now it's going to be stuck in my head. 211. We're going to hear from Sherry. We invited Sherry Peterson from United Policyholders to talk a little bit about their organization, the services they provide with regards to insurance, homeowners insurance. Sherry?
Good evening and aloha. I'm Sherry Peterson, and I am here from United Policyholders. Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. I'm not on mute. That's good. Somebody gave me a tell. Every time I'm in a meeting, I'm on mute. Okay, so I'm with United Policyholders. I'm Sherry Peterson. I'm the Equal Justice Fellow. I have put my card out on the table here so that you can have my number, and if you have any questions later, you can call me. I'm part of the United Policyholders Roadmap to Recovery. We have 3 programs: the Roadmap to Recovery, the Roadmap to Preparedness, and then Advocacy and Action. United Policyholders is a nonprofit, so any services that we provide you are for free. We've been around for about 30 years. I haven't been with them for 30 years, but they've been around for 30 years. What we do is we provide post-disaster guidance with insurance claims, and we walk with you as you go through the insurance claim process. And so, for instance, we give information we don't give legal advice, but we do give information on things like make sure that you keep an email of every transaction that you have with your insurance, practical information, and then one-on-one information on how you can go through the claims process and actually handle your claim yourself. I did bring with me, we have the Little Yellow Book, which is an absolutely wonderful resource. It goes through the claim process. It's something that you can take home and read. There's a section on it that helps you prepare your inventory if you're at that process and having to do that for your insurance company. And that's also something we'll sit down and help you with, because that can be quite overwhelming. But those little yellow books, and there's a purple folder, they're back there on the table. So United Policyholders has free information 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, at your fingertips on your computer or on your phone. All you have to do is go to uphealth.org. And as you'll see, there are a number of tabs at the top. We do have a section for the Maui wildfire recovery, and that will have information collected regarding the recovery process, where you go for your permits, that kind of thing on there. In addition to that, there are on that website, there are a number of articles, sample letters, things like what do you do if your insurance was dropped, a sample letter, just a tremendous amount of resources on that website. Insurance, your insurance policy you paid for is there to get you back to where you were before the fire. And so in order to get there, you will need to be proactive in restoring your assets and in pursuing your claim, in asserting your rights and asking for what you want. And I'm here to back you up on that, to let you know, to help you write those letters and to let you know what your policy says and what that policy entitles you to. So there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Again, our services, we don't charge for them, and help is available. So managing your insurance claim can be a full-time job. I'm at Kako'o Maui at the Maui Mall. It's the CNHA office on Tuesdays from 10 to 4. I'm also been here at the DRC from 10 to 4. I am providing my card and my number, and so you can contact me by phone or you can contact me by email and let me know that you'd like to meet with me, and I can meet with you outside of those times. It's always better if you make an appointment because then you know that that time is dedicated to you. So again, we don't give legal advice. We provide support and we provide resources so that you can handle your claim yourself. So we also make referrals or can make referrals to public adjusters, construction cost estimators, restoration remediation specialists, contractors and builders, and policyholder attorneys if you do have a legal issue that requires representation. So one of the issues, there's like a lot of issues that I've been running into with insureds lately, but the most immediate issue for everybody is housing. And I have been working, before I began working for United Policyholders, I began working with people who were trying to get their FEMA benefits and housing through FEMA and through other resources. So if you have ALE or loss of use, that is to reimburse you for your living expenses while you cannot be in your home. Right now, people are, most of the time the ALE and loss of use is only for a year. It's going to be a lot longer than a year before people are able to move back into their homes. And so what I'm seeing is insureds coming up at the end of their ALE, insureds that have spent all of their ALE, and then also insureds that are still in shelter, in the ARC shelters, and they haven't spent their ALE and they're trying to figure out what their housing options are. I'm not going to go through that because it would take me an hour to explain that all, and I'd have to have pen and ink and sit down and write it out as I'm explaining it, but I'm letting you know that I'm available as a resource if you want to talk about what your housing options are and if you want to walk through any of those processes. Probably most of you know by now, if you're insured, that your mortgage payments are not covered, so you're having to continue to pay your mortgage, continue paying your HOA dues, everything, all of those expenses continue even though you're not able to be in your home, and now you've got rent on top of that. And so, so again, I will go over your housing options with you, and we could talk about what, at least so that you know what your options are, and then you can make an educated choice on what works best for you. So most ALE only goes, it can either be, every policy is different. So it can be a set amount. It could be for a set amount of time. And I think I've only seen one or two that don't have a cap on them. But for the most part, most of them end within 12 months. And so Commissioner Ito wrote a memo to the insurance, all of the insurance companies in the state of Hawaii, and asked them to extend those limits for 36 months. So, of course, I haven't heard of an insurance company that says, okay, we'll do that for you. But you can write a letter to your insurance company, and we do have sample letter that you can. And my philosophy has always been, you can always ask. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? They can say no, and you know, miracle of miracles, somebody could say, okay, well, we'll extend it for a little bit more time. So this is Commissioner Ito's memo. You can refer to it if you're asking the insurance company for an extension. If you are having an issue with your insurance company, if they're not paying what they're supposed to be paying, if you have a complaint against your insurance company, this is who you contact, the Hawaii Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs. They said that they only had like 30 complaints the last time I spoke to them, which I find a little bit hard to believe based on my contact with people. So it's important that if you are having an issue with your insurance company, that you bring it to the Hawaiian Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs and let them know so that they can investigate and get to the bottom of it. And that just puts a little bit more pressure on the insurance company to do the right thing. So part of United Policyholders is a survivor to survivor group. They meet online once a month. That information is on our website. And it's people who have been impacted by wildfires throughout the United States. So there are people from Colorado, there are people from Washington, there are people from Oregon, there are people from California, all over the United States. And it's survivors only. And so they share tips and tricks on what they have experienced and also on how they have worked with their insurance companies. You can register at uphelp.org, and when you do so, you will get notice of any webinars that we have. For instance, we had a webinar recently on smoke and ash damage, and how you can navigate those claims. We had a webinar in March on income tax matters, held by a CPA. Those webinars are always recorded, and so you can go back into the library and look at them even though you weren't able to go to that webinar. So that's a resource that's available to you on our website. But if you do sign up, then we will send you out notice of when we are having webinars and what they are. And I'm at the end, so I want to say mahalo. It's my honor to be here, to be part of this recovery process. I'm here for each one of you. Again, I'm at Kakoo every Tuesday from 10 to 4. That's at the CNHA at the Maui Mall. I'm here this Friday, and I haven't found a place yet on the west side to be on Fridays, but I will be continuing to come over on Fridays. So, mahalo.
Thank you, Sherry. I'll take that. Sorry. At this time, we're going to go ahead and take questions from folks. We are still, and I apologize for this, trying to figure out how to manage all the questions coming in online as well. And internally, we're working to figure out a process and a system that we can get back to folks. In the meantime, I'm going to start this with the first question that actually came from online. And here we go. This is a question for Army Corps of Engineers. Why are there no testing for asbestos in the soil, recycled concrete, leachate water?
Well, thank you for that question. So we don't test for asbestos in soil. If we do test for asbestos during the phase 1 process, we test it for concrete, on concrete. Generally, what we found is that if there's asbestos in a home, it's normally, not always, but normally it's found in the kitchen area, maybe due to the tile or the adhesive that was used under tile that was installed in maybe the 40s, 50s, and 60s, maybe even into the 70s. Can't remember when asbestos was removed from household goods. So we would test the concrete, especially where if we saw evidence of those type of tiles that would lead us to believe that there could be asbestos. So we would test that. We wouldn't test the soil. There's no practical reason why asbestos would be in the soil. I'm not saying that there's never a chance where asbestos could be in the soil, but that's not a normal place that you would put asbestos on soil. Asbestos is used to use as insulation for old pipes. If you had a basement with pipes, basements aren't really a thing here. So that's one reason we don't test it, test the soil. In leachate, I don't have an answer for that question. I need to ask my experts what exactly. I know we test a whole bunch of things in the leachate. I can't answer that tonight, whether we do test for asbestos or not. I don't think we do. I don't know how it would get there, but I'll take that as a due out, and we'll get an answer. I don't want to make an answer up. So hopefully that answered the question.
Thank you, Colonel. We also had an outstanding question last week about, if FEMA can help address this, about staying, and I might have the question wrong, but staying in the unit related to insurance status, correct?
Hi, Curtis Brown with FEMA. Yeah, last week there was a question regarding survivors who have homeowners insurance and with ALE and LOU, and when that was exhausted, FEMA would pay for them to stay where they're currently staying. And the answer is yes, with our rental assistance program or our continued housing assistance program. And so what you'd have to do is just prior to your ALE or LOU being exhausted, come back to see FEMA, and we'll check for eligibility for the program. But there was also another question along the same lines of if a survivor was renting a property from a property owner and their ALE, LOU ran out, if the property owner could be a part of FEMA's direct lease program. So that's where FEMA pays the property owner, and then we pick the survivor to move in that property. And the answer to that is no, because we'd be in violation of the Fair Housing Act in that example. So long story short, if you have ALE, LOU, it's almost exhausted, come see FEMA, and then we'll see if you're eligible for our rental assistance or CTHA program.
Thank you, Curtis. Just switch on mic. We have 2 mic runners tonight. Raise your hand and we'll get to you. I see Cynthia right here in the middle in the blue, light blue, gray, and then we'll move on this side to Sharon. So gray, where to go? Raise your hand in the middle, right there. Do you see him, Cynthia? Okay, she's first. We're gonna have you raise your hand. We'll do our best. We have all of our federal partners. We have our state folks here. We have A resource from Maui Tree Recovery. We have Malia from 211. We're going to have that in mind. Go ahead, sir. Oh, did I miss that? Okay, we're going to, sir, hang on a second. Here and then there. Go
I
ahead.
have a very simple question. I heard that the disaster recovery center is closing or moving. Do you have any information on that?
The Disaster Recovery Center will be ceasing operations here next week. We are needing to return the gym to the community as well as to repair and maintenance work scheduled as needed. FEMA is actively looking for options. The county's Office of Recovery is very much hoping to get the keys to a location, and we're looking forward to announcing that next week. In the meantime, for resources, I would connect to that. Go to mauirecovers.org to continue to find the help you need. Make use of 211. Make those contacts as necessary. And I can see my boss making his way, so I think he wants to offer additional information. Here. Francis was there.
So it looks like the folks running the DRC got a location at the Royal Lahaina Hotel on this side. I don't know when they will start, when they will get in. Francis, can you update us? Sorry. I just knew, we talked about it before the meeting started.
Thank you, Mayor. So we're going to transition from this DRC and move over to the Royal Lahaina. So we have to go through our initial inspections to see that it's ADA compliant. It has all of these certain requirements that FEMA require us to do as well to make sure that it's safe. Once that's completed, we should be operational on Monday because the end of Saturday, the DRC shuts down, and then we're going to start taking out all of the equipment that's in here. But we should be operational on Monday at the Royal Lahaina in one of the ballrooms there, right by the lobby. So we look forward continuing to serve you, FEMA, SBA, and all of the county agencies that will be there to assist. Any questions? Thank you.
You folks know that Francis and his crew have been running this since it started. I think he deserves a really nice round of applause for being here all during the week and representing Haima. So I didn't want him to run off without that acknowledgement. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Francis. Sir, go ahead.
I had a question about if we could get some type of advocacy for what appropriate costs are from, you know, as this building process is I'm undergoing this building process, whether it's for a surveyor or concrete removal or what lumber costs and what's appropriate. If there could be some type of advocacy that could support us in knowing what are appropriate costs. And in that process also, is there going to be some type of thing to balance the fluctuation as supply and demand changes of the cost of materials? Do we have a surplus of materials? Are we going to keep the cost even? Or is it going to fluctuate when we get a shipment and then it's down when we don't have many and people are in the middle of processes? So where the costs lie and how do I know what are reasonable costs?
Good question. I recall that came up last week as well as a precautionary thing. Our infrastructure, the leadership that came last week for the homeowners meeting is paying attention to what questions come up this evening. So we'll put that on them and then get back to you on what the options are, if there are. Okay, Cynthia?
Thank you. There was a bad fire in central Maui at the Hammerhead Recycling. And I want to know if that's going to slow down our recovery here, and how bad was it, and how is that going to impact us?
So that's a good question. I can't answer the extent of the damage to the community. How it's going to. I can tell you that it's at this point it is not impacting the Corps' work under the FEMA mission assignment to get your debris off your property. So I can assure you that. Is it going to have other impacts to the community? It may. I can't speak to those because it's outside of my purview, but it won't affect our ability to clean residential properties here in Lahaina.
Great question. Thank you. Shari? Oh, Sorry, I thought you were, oh, right here in front. And then we'll go back to that side. Go ahead now.
Hi. Probably everybody that goes up and down this street over here sees all the tents all along the beaches, and I'm wondering if there's any agency or anyone collecting data on them to find out what their situation is. Did they fall through the cracks of FEMA and Red Cross? And if there's, find out what they need and, how we can support them.
Thank you for that question. As far as the encampments along the Lahaina shoreline and the parks area, we do have our state housing services who's walking up here, so I'll let him try.
Yeah. So I say that Department of Human Services has now become Department of Housing Solution, but we are focusing on human services. So yes, we are going to be doing outreach to that, or to those communities there. Some of those may be eligible for like Kalaiola as well as other housing projects going up. But I'll also turn it over to our DCMP expert, the Disaster Case Management Program.
Thank you for that question. There are multiple agencies that are currently working with the DCMP. So DCMP is the Disaster Case Management Program under the state of Hawaii. So we have been working with Catholic Charities, Aloha United Way, we have Aloha House, Family Life, and one other. Project Vision is definitely part of the whole, yes. So we are counting, we meet every week. Also, we meet with the long-term recovery group. So all of these discussions are going on all the time. We are gathering information all the time, but that's also why the 211 is really important. Because if we have everyone, we don't want anyone falling through the cracks. We want, if you know of these people, if any of you know of these people who are survivors, please connect them to 211. The information that will be taken is quite, is not that much. And then it will go to what we call the outreach navigators. And they will keep you in touch with that person until we can actually connect to a disaster case manager. Okay, because this program is growing by the moment. Right now, I believe we've had more than 550 calls in the last 2 weeks. So this has just been ongoing. This has just been put up for in the last 2 weeks. So please get that information out. Thank you.
Thank you, Malia. Mayor also has a Houseless Solutions staff member on our team who sits in and works with the state as well in the coordination efforts. And we heard a few meetings ago a desire by the community to also have access to beaches and parks. So we're just finding our way as we navigate through all of those mixed needs and desires and support that we can offer out there. Okay, there. Go ahead, sir.
Aloha. I actually have more information than a question. I'm working with Kane's Legacy Tree Services, and we are in the zone clearing hazardous trees. And we are actually finding quite a few trees that we're reporting that need to be reassessed. Some that we thought would survive are actually in decline. And I just wanted to say to everybody going in the zone, you should treat every tree right now as a hazard. Even though it might appear green, it could have dead branches, it could have dead material that could fall. And also, if you have a tree that you want to save, you can sign a waiver and try to save that tree and take it out. You will assume responsibility and it will not be removed. You can sign a waiver to save a tree, but at the moment, just consider every tree in the zone a hazard. It may or may not survive. The zone is riddled with borer beetles and termites, and many of the trees are very brittle and they're very dangerous right now. So don't park under trees, even if it looks green. Be careful. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a question in the middle, and then Cynthia, we have two gentlemen on the front row, and then a few rows up. So go ahead, Kim.
Well, I just want to say I'm very happy to hear that we're getting our community gymnasium back for our kids, and resume normal activities here. But my question is, some contractors have asked me, what's the procedure for getting placards for them to go into the burn zone?
Everett, are you available to answer that? Are you handling placards for contractors getting in? We're going to make him walk all the way there. And thank you for the comment about the gym. We will be in this gym for community meetings for the next 2 Wednesdays. We're going to transition to the social hall downstairs on those days on Wednesdays. It's just a scheduling issue. Everett, the question is, how do contractors receive placards into the burn zone for the work that they do? And then we're going to go to the gentleman in the front right after. Can you help with that one?
So the contractor placards, are you talking about for residential or for actually for residential? So the property owners would submit information and they can actually receive placards to distribute to their contractors. They'll receive it from us, provide it to the contractor at the start of the project or job, and then receive it back from them in order to reuse with other contractors. And that's the process for that. The submission of information would be to our mima.security@maui.
The Lahaina boat harbor, with all the debris that settled down, we normally have inside current and Kanapali current, so I'm sure that a lot of that debris is traveling out of the harbor area and running alongside the shoreline. So is there a possibility of dredging that harbor?
So that's a deal in our question, and I will bring that question back to DLNR.
Okay. And then for 211, is that for the disaster victims, or is it limited?
Uncle, it's for all those who have been impacted by the fires.
The reason why I ask is that they've been reaching out, a lot of the families been reaching out that they had to move from place to place and they had runarounds and whatever,
Yeah.
So will this particular organization, if I want to call it, will be the one to answer and help them with guidance to where they gotta go and what they need to do to have
Yes.
proper placement?
Yes. So the
Okay.
DCMP works with FEMA, with American Red Cross, with all of the agencies, with GEM, with CNHA. Everybody is now making sure that anyone who needs help comes through 211.
211.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have a problem where the cow problem in the hotels or wherever there is no stove here.
Mm.
So they've cut out the breakfast and the lunch. So there's only one cow time, which is dinner, yeah? So for the kapunas, the ones that cannot move around and try to get their own food, is 211 able to work with Red Cross and get Red Cross to get hold of these people who need the food and feed them?
I wasn't aware of that, but I'm going to follow up on this right away.
Yeah, it's happening
Tonight.
right now.
And then you're going to answer.
Aloha, that's a really good question. And those are households. So again, part of the process of staying in the emergency shelter is a twice weekly check-in with the Red Cross. So those are conversations where we can identify what the need is. And for the kupuna, or the people with access and functional needs, they can qualify for services like Meals on Wheels or help through the county is available. So the quickest way for those folks to get their needs met would be to speak to the Red Cross.
Okay, but you know that most of the people that are victims are not readily accessible or readily people who get voice that say, I need help. You know, you're asking everybody who need help to reach out for help. How about Red Cross reach to those people who need the help also? Form some kind of alliance and, you know, kind of get together and, like you said, they need to check in, talk to them. You know, not only check them in, but talk to them. Hey, do you have needs or whatever? You know, reach out to them and not,
Oh, I'm sorry,
you know,
please go on.
expect them to reach out to you because we're not all the same kind of people that, you know, in
So-
that era or whatever.
You're absolutely right. And of the 2,030 individuals staying in our shelters right now, about 50 of them have self-identified as having an access and functional need. So we have a team of IDC, that's individual disaster care, that's comprised both of nurses and mental health experts. And those are people, they're really wrapping around anybody with a high need. Those are working very closely with our teams. So we're always monitoring that. And again, those twice weekly check-ins, that's where you can answer questions if maybe you've called 211 and you're waiting to hear back. 800 Red Cross is always available, and we do work closely with the DCMP, with disability access and functional needs advocates, with feeding partners. So all of these organizations are standing by to help address those needs as they arise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to reiterate about the 211. Thank you for that question. The outreach navigator will continue to contact that person who calls in. Okay, you're not going to be let go until the need is met. Okay? Thank you.
So more than one option. Call 211, go see your Red Cross staffer, call 800 Red Cross. Everyone's trying to line up to help in any way we can, that we can. Cynthia, go ahead with your question.
Yes, thank you. My question is for EPA on the water. I have a rental property in Waiakuli, Makai of Anakea, and the water mains in the area have been certified as okay water, but now you're testing the laterals. In my immediate neighborhood, there's 41 houses that didn't burn down, and all of us have been connected to the main. We've never had breaks in our lines. Since you turned the water back on, we've been using them to re-irrigate our lawns and bring them all back. Is there a reason why these houses can't be approved for drinking water now on an individual case-by-case basis as opposed to waiting for the whole zone to get approved?
Thank you so much for the question. So the concern is that in the houses nearby in the same kind of area or zone, that if there are contaminated lines, that contamination could make its way out of that line and into your home. So what the process is to sample all of those burned properties, laterals. When we find contaminants or we have access issues, we will cut and cap those. And then as soon as the county has enough information, they will amend the unsafe water advisory in your area. So you're connected by a pipe to those other potential contaminated laterals, and that's the reason. We can't take the risk that those laterals down the street or on the other block could contaminate your water. So I hope you understand. I apologize, the process is slower than you want it to go. I can say that your neighborhood and down south in Puamana, those are the priority areas, and that's going to be the first unsafe water advisories to get lifted because there are people like you who can live in your homes there.
Thank you for that. I have a second question for Army Corps. So in the same Waiakuli neighborhood, which is basically Anakea towards the ocean from Hawaiian Homes down to Fleming Road, as I said, there's 41 houses in that strip along there. I drove through there today, and on Fleming, Ainakea, all the way up, there's only 11 lots that haven't been cleared. So all the lots in that area have been cleared, and I'm very appreciative of that. But what I was wondering is it possible at this time to go ahead and move the barricades back to where you could open up that loop of Fleming, Wahakuli, up Ainakea to Hawaiian Homes, so that those people can come in and out without having to go through checkpoints? I know that there's people living in there now, probably a third of the houses, but my property is rental properties. I'm getting calls from people who want to rent, but I can't imagine them wanting to live in there when they got, I mean, how do you have your kids have friends come over and they got to go through a checkpoint? It seemed to me that now would be an okay time to just move the checkpoints back out of that area. You currently have 5 checkpoints in there, and by my layout, you'd be able to reduce that down to 2 checkpoints, and then that would become open circulation. So is that a possibility?
I mean, the county's thinking about it, right? They're trying to come up with a plan so we can walk back some of the security checkpoints. I will tell you, we are clearing, we're averaging, I think today, 14 properties per day. Today we got 18, yesterday we got 9, the day before we got 21, 22. And the reason that you started by saying that there's only 11 properties that still have debris on them, that's because we're all gas and no brakes, right? We are trying to get these properties cleared as quickly as we can so that we can return these properties back to the community and we can draw down the security footprint. I'm just, again, as we talked about trees, we talk about balancing public safety with the mission. I'm just hesitant to recommend to the mayor or to the city, the county, to bring those in prematurely, because we still have a lot of heavy equipment driving around, and I'm trying to keep, I'm trying to look out for the safety of my contractors, safety of the residents who are coming back to watch and participate in the clearance of their properties. And I know if I can continue to keep those gate guards in place where they're at a little longer, I'm going to have almost that entire neighborhood done. Now, what I didn't, while I have the mic, let me just talk about something I didn't talk about before. I think we still have 50 properties that have not reached out to the county regarding applying for applying for the process to join our program. And I know last week, I think it was last week I was here, I said I'd have tea with anyone who, who knew a neighbor who didn't want to sign up, but I'd have tea with them and break bread, and we would talk about the benefits of our program. And that offer still stands. We have had an increase recently after some of those comments because of people like you who have either pressured your neighbors or at least contacted your neighbors, got them in touch with us, and we've been able to, it's a hard process, it's a hard fought, everyone's a hard fought victory, but we've been able to get some of those people to contact the county's been able to work the process, and we are starting to see a slight uptick in ROE. So that number is getting smaller, and when that number goes to 0, I'll win a bet with my colleague over here from FEMA, and you'll win your neighborhood back with no more debris on it, so you can rebuild knowing that there's not going to be an uncleared lot next door. So I kind of answered your question a little bit, I hope. I answered a question that I meant to talk about earlier, and we are moving out to get this place as cleaned up as quickly and safely as possible, because we know how important it is for you to move back and start your lives again in Lahaina.
To answer your question from the MEMA side, we are actively looking at neighborhoods that have standing structures for residents to go back to. That includes working with our partners to make that happen. So there's a logistical considerations to do that. And part of it, as Colonel said, is a safety, but we are actively doing that right now.
Thank you, Everett. And Colonel, we have a question there, and then no one here has one? Okay, front row, we have got 2 in the front row and 1 in the middle.
4 right here.
Okay, we got 4. Are you like clustered over there? Okay, we're going to take 4 of you because you've been waiting patiently, and then we're going to move to this side of the room. 2 on the front row, 1 in the middle, 2 in the middle right there. Go ahead.
Mahalo. So my question is for Malia about 211. I'm just wondering, is the DCMP, is that 211 phone number only valid out here, or are people able to call that on the mainland, or is there perhaps an alternative number?
As I understand it right now, and Joe can only here in Hawaii. Yeah, we'll have access. I want to say because I know that there are people who are leaving. So can you please give me your information and I can get back to you, okay, on that.
Okay, we'll take the next. I just also want to say our Oahu folks are going to have a plane to catch. So if there's a question for Joe Campos, please know that we're going to need to take that quickly. So 3 more here, and then we're going to move on to a bunch on this side. So go ahead. Kaliko?
I'm a Leali'i resident, and I will say to Joe Campos, thank you for Saturday. Thank you for allowing our children that live in Leali'i to meet the heavy equipment operators, but also to understand that that rock pile that used to be a clubhouse is no longer safe, and it's to allow other people and our ohana to live in that area. So I do want to say thank you to your team for making us, taking time to help us and our children. I have another question for Mima. I got a video from my brother, Jeremy Delos Reyes, and down by Baby Beach on the road, the Jehovah Witness road, it looks like there's a barrier that is unattended, and it's not cars that are going through, but it's tourists that are going through. What are we doing? How do we regulate that before somebody else regulates it?
Great question. We are working with DLNR, state DOT, on options to secure that area, whether it be fencing along the beach and enclosing those destroyed properties. We are actively doing that at this time.
Thank you. Third question of 4. Go ahead.
Is there? I just wanted to ask Red Cross if they, you mentioned something about self-identifying. The survivors in the shelter need to self-identify in terms if they need more help around food. Like, I did visit a few people this week to do mental health checks in kupuna that don't have kitchens, don't have a way to prepare food, much like to add on to what Uncle was saying. And the feedback that I'm getting is they're not aware that they can self-identify, and they're not aware that there are programs for them. So I just want to pass that along. And also say thank you to Colonel Swinton delivered a bottle of water to one of the kupuna there, to the auntie. So thank you for that.
Thank you for the information. I would say just to encourage them to let their Red Cross worker know, and if you'd like to connect with me after this, I'd be glad to follow up and make sure that those folks are cared for. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take the 4th question of 4 we're waiting for, and it will come over on this side. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
My question is on the temporary dwelling. It's only allowed for 180 days. Can it be extended to a longer period than 180 days?
We're going to take all the infrastructure questions, and then we're going to come back and answer. We also have a handout on the side there that we provided to homeowners meeting to give you that, but it is 180 days for the temporary dwelling for that. Go ahead, Cynthia, on your side. I know we got 2 here and 2 in the middle, or 3. Go ahead.
Hi. I had the same question. It was about the temporary, we have alternatives to.
Gotta use a mic.
We have alternatives to, conventional construction. I'm sure, we all want to build like we had, but there is alternatives that we have immediate housing available with these manufactured homes. They're comfortable, well-built, attractive, and stronger than wood, fire-resistant, no termites. It's a great opportunity to get people from living like refugees back to their own property. And I don't know why the county is so resistant with all the regulations and requirements, and then the temporary thing on top. Who wants to spend 50,000+ on something that you have to move in 6 or whatever months? It doesn't make sense. It just seems unfair, and it's like the county is not being reasonable.
Okay. We'll take that back to our infrastructure group for their comment. Kai, and then thank you for your patience in the second row, and then we'll go to the middle here.
Malia. The question was already partially asked, but I have family, friends, and a whole lot of families I know of that went to the mainland. It would be doing 211, so if there's an outside number we can set up so that people can call in from outside. I mean, California,
Yeah.
Nevada, Pacific Northwest, they're all over the place.
So currently, we do not yet. I'm getting the answer right now, but please
get it.
let me know.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I just say, once you get it, we post it because they're out there. And they're actually flying back. Colonel cleaned a couple of their lots. They flew back to kiss the ground, jumped on the plane the next day to fly back to the mainland so that they could continue to make money.
Thank you. Mahalo.
Good point. Thank you, Kai. Go ahead, ma'am.
Mahalo. My question is for the EPA, and this might be the horse before the cart is wheeled, but there are a lot of lots that still have cesspools. And it's my understanding that by 2050, every cesspool has to be gone and replaced with a septic system. Consequently, what's going to happen with all the lots in Waiakuli and every place else that needs to have that done? Is it going to be done before the building is done so that the environment will be safe? Mahalo.
I'm going to pass that to my colleague, Sebastian Rodriguez, who is here for the long term on this topic.
Hey there, I'm really sorry to make you repeat your question. I was actually up in the stands and the acoustics weren't great. Would you mind repeating your question? Thank you.
Thank you. My question is that by 2050, all cesspools have to be gone and converted to either septic tanks or online sewer systems. What is going to happen with the rebuilding when there are currently a lot of cesspools, Waiakuli and other areas in Lahaina? Because we have to look out for our environment, as your agency does say. Mahalo.
Yeah, so this is it's something that we're aware of. We're coordinating really closely with DOH. EPA is currently in the middle of designing and engineering a new sewer system for the Waiakuli neighborhood in particular. Designing and engineering, we're still trying to find out exactly some avenues for constructing it, but we're working closely with DOH as well, and they'll certainly have some involvement in how this gets addressed moving forward, but we're aware of it and we're working on it.
Yeah, thank you for that question. At the yellow table, we do have some guidance on cesspools. The legislature, at least in Hawaii, the legislature is well aware of the deadline. And there was some discussion this session about extending the deadline or not. So the legislature is well aware of it, and we'll have to see what the legislature says. But there's a federal law, and then there's a state law. Also, if you have any questions for Department of Health, we have to also catch a flight.
Okay, Department of Health questions only. Mikey, is yours Department of Health? Okay. All right. And last week at the homeowners meeting, we did talk about cesspools a little bit. There was an FAQ that was passed out. It's on mauirecovers.org as well. Cynthia, you're right here. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, Everett basically answered part of my question, is that he said they are setting up a task force to address structures that have been still standing all this time that could possibly be viable. I'm a resident manager of a 42 complex unit that had needed very little repairs to it, but I've been having to hold off on repairs for 8 months because I have no sewer. And not only do I not have any sewer, I'm not sure who to address this, but looking on the map, which I do every day at mauirecovers.org, I noticed that the EPA shows 0 linear feet on the sewer to be inspected by the EPA, and yet on my road, where I have 42 units that can house people, it shows they haven't even inspected my road or my sewer. And not only that, I'm curious why there wasn't a task force immediately assigned to going to structures that were still viable that could house people. We've been hearing nothing about housing, 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 and there has been no attention to my building. I haven't seen one authority on my property from day one. And I have got contractors coming next week to fix the plumbing and the electrical to get that building back online. But it does me no good without sewer. And I have 10 plus owners in that building that are willing to house the displaced. And I could have had this done months ago if I was given the proper attention. And I want to know where we are on buildings that are standing that can house people, why there is not 100% effort being put into those to help you house people.
Thanks for the question. I can't answer all the questions that you have, but with regard to the sewer, we have completed the sewer line inspections on all public sewer lines. So, yeah. Okay, so that's my understanding, and we can get back to you on that question specifically, but all the sewer lines that we were given by the county, by Department of Environmental Management, were completed, and they are currently examining that information, that footage, and they are targeting crucial areas where they have to make repairs in order to restore wastewater service.
Sir, where's Sarah? Okay, you see Sarah waving over there in the green with our infrastructure branch. Can you connect and give her your property information so that we can bring it to the department leadership and at least find a way forward on that? Okay, Cynthia, okay, over there, Mikey, and then sir in the maroon, were you raising your hand? Yeah, right there, and then go ahead.
This is a comment for Red Cross. No need to stand up. Just an observation. Our kupuna are built very different here. They are not going to say that they need help. You're going to ask questions like, how you doing? And they're going to say they're okay. So maybe training your staff to ask particular questions like, what did you eat today, uncle? Where did you get that from? Who's coming to visit you with the food? And then you can gauge how they're actually doing. Because they're not going to self-identify like she had just said, and they're not going to ask for help in the quickest way possible that you're telling us that they need to do. So maybe changing your tactic a little bit, and you might get the answers that you need.
Thank you, Mikey.
Thank you so much, and I just will quickly address that this recovery effort is going to take all of us. So if you hear of kupuna or anybody in care who doesn't want to tell Red Cross of a need or anything like that, our protection of client privacy works us protecting their information, but please feel free to reach out to me directly if you hear of that. My email address is mary.simkins2@redcross.org, and I sit next to our mass care chief every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Go ahead, sir.
Aloha, everyone. So, is there any effort being applied to the reopening of the swimming pool, the public pool, and that recreation area across the highway?
I can tell you from our county parks and recreation, they're still assessing the structure safety of that pool area. Happy to bring the department leadership before you to give a more exact update. But I will say we inquired and we know that they've been testing out the safety of the infrastructure of the aquatic center and the swimming pool. Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you. My question is for Dwayne Sparkman. So
What you got?
If we filled out a form for trees, and if our lot has been cleared and the ROE has been turned back by the Army Corps to the county, and we get a temporary water meter, so we have a way to irrigate, would we be able to get the trees sooner rather than later to start propagating them on our own properties?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Easy answer.
Best ever. Cynthia, there's a gentleman at the top with a white shirt also has been raising his hand. And then, go ahead, sir, and so we're going to take a few more. Okay, go ahead. I lost Sharon. Where's Sharon Banag? Oh, okay. You're blending
for,
in.
Red
Go
Cross.
ahead.
This question is for Red Cross. The way you explained it sounded very easy to do that, but if you stay in our shoes, it ain't that easy. It's not how it's going, because from one hotel, we move into Hyatt, right? So where we're at, we can cook, and the spaces is bigger. But now that it shows a family of 6 with 2 dogs in 2 studios, which don't even meet the specs for 2 people. Is that meeting our needs?
Thank you. I can only imagine what this community is going through, and I've tried very hard to imagine. I can't. I know that it's not easy, and I know that none of us expected to be together this long, 8.5 months after the fact. So when people came into shelters immediately following this disaster, hotel contracts were whatever timeline that they were, and some could extend and some couldn't. At the same time, we're the nonprofit partner of the state of Hawaii, so site consolidations and those decisions are not ours to make, but they're ours to communicate out to the displaced residents of our shelters. So I'm sorry that it's been a long and difficult process. I strongly believe that the next chapter will be coming soon, and I look forward to supporting everybody in that. In the meantime, we just try to give people as much heads up when a move is coming and give them as much support as possible. And that's done through a lot of really excellent community organizations that step up to help. So please feel free to come talk to me afterward if you'd like. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead, Sharon.
I'm curious about the rebuilding, because with my lot topsoil cleared, were my pins, my survey pins, taken away? Who will be resurveying to make sure we build in the right spot? Do I have to take that on as an additional cost that now robs me of money to have fixtures in my house or personal belongings?
Colonel, do you know about the survey pin being removed as part of the debris clearing?
I can't speak to every survey pin. Generally we clear the ash footprint, so the ash and then the place where it's sitting. That's normally not in the corners of your property where you have where your pins would be located. I'm not saying that we didn't take any pins. We do take 6 inches of soil, and normally we wouldn't take it from the edges of the corners of your property. A lot of times, if you have a fence or a wall, we hand clean around the edges of those areas, not using equipment. And that's only if your ash footprint went all the way to your property line. And what we're finding is that's not generally the case. Usually it's more just centrally located. I see you shaking your head. I may not be answering your question. It is not our intention to pull the pins out, but we may, in some cases, have done it.
So what's the solution? I know I had one pin right at the corner of my patio, and my total patio and all the cement slab of the building is gone. So I'm going, how far do I go? I have no idea.
Yeah, I think you'd have to, I'm going to pass that one off to the county.
Thank you, Colonel. We are going to come back next week with that answer because I don't want to guess at it or speculate. So we'll take it back to our folks on our infrastructure team and see what that answer is. But thanks for bringing it to our attention. Appreciate it. We're going to take a few more. Sharon, I see one way at the top row. Cynthia, are you none? Okay, we're going to take one more. Okay, at the top. And then Sharon, there's one way on the bottom right here too. Go ahead.
I think this might be for Colonel. I'm not sure how or when you guys marked the right of entry paper on our lots, but we signed the right of entry, I think like 2 months ago, and it still wasn't initialed. does it get initialed when it happens, or, yeah?
Well, that's a good question. Thank you. So what happens is we don't actually collect your right of entry. Those go to the county and the county's agent. There's a couple steps that have to go in once you sign your right of entry. Not that anyone here would do anything fraudulent, but the county wants to make sure that the person who signs the right of entry is the lawful owner of that piece of that property, and that there's not other owners who also have to sign. So there's a whole process that it goes through. When it is completely vetted and we have the county has all the signatures, or the signature depending, for that TMK, tax map key, which is essentially the piece of property that you own. Then they forward that on to the Corps. Once we have that, then we go out and initial the sign saying that we have your right of entry. Now, we're not perfect. I've actually, one of my side hobbies is I go around and look at signs to make sure that they're updated. And so I have found 2 signs in the past couple weeks where the ROE block wasn't signed, but the cultural clearance block was signed. Right, so I'm getting kind of into the weeds here. So normally what that happens is we have it. It's in the system that we have the ROE. We just neglected to go out and fill it out. So that could be the case. Again, it's in 1,600 properties. I think I've caught it two times, so it's not like a big occurrence. But there's a lot of paperwork that goes into it, and we go out and have our quality assurance reps make sure that we're updating the signs. So if you turned your ROE in and you don't have that block signed, please come see me or see one of my team in a red shirt. We'll take your address down. We'll dig into the system. We have access to the county system, and we can tell where that is in the process. And if it's frustrated for some reason, then we will get back with you and let you know what needs to be done to complete that process. If it's an error on our part, like we have the ROE and we just haven't initialed the sign, we will do it. Once you have that 6th signature for cultural clearance, then you're going to enter the runway. And they won't do the cultural clearance signature unless we have your ROE. I don't know if that answered the question or not. Hope so. If not, I can answer a follow-up.
Thank you, Colonel. We're going to take one more question here, have Mayor close out, and remind you that we will be in this gym next week, Wednesday, and you should check if your registration for voting is a current address. Go ahead, sir.
Aloha. My question, I think, would be for the mayor. I'm not sure. It's nothing to do with anything tonight. I just was wondering if there's any plans for properties all the way from Malaya to Lahaina for controlled burns to control we had a good winter. We had a lot of green grass. Now it's yellow. It's going to be brown in July and August. Is there any plans for controlled burns or any way to manage that? And does the county have the authority to mandate property owners of these large areas to do so?
Mahalo, Kekoa. So on the first part of your question, the fire department is aware of the requirement that large landowners, so it's going to answer the second part of your question, to be responsible for, I guess, when it gets to a certain level. So I've already had conversations with the fire chief. He's already sending his teams out to address that. I can't give you the feedback of what happened, but I know, I'm going to say maybe a couple weeks ago, that was already started. And again, a lot of that came from the community, people who sent stuff in to us, asking us to look into those things. I haven't reviewed the state law or even the county's ordinance recently. I'll make sure I check with our corp counsel tomorrow. But there is a requirement that landowners mitigate and try to reduce when their property becomes, a threat. It can be people who hoard stuff on their property and allow trash to build up. And of course, it can be natural, right, grasses and stuff. So I'll just make sure we get on it again and report back to you guys. Very fair question. So why don't we call it and then let everybody who needs to come and talk to any of the individual folks who are still here come down. And of course, he can talk to any of us. So I know what some of you are thinking is, why did we get Sherry so late in the process? Because most of you guys sitting here thinking you could have used some of that insight earlier. She actually has been attending this and came up to us at one of these meetings and offered her service. And that's how we found out about her. So I think you guys should take her up on her offer to assist, even though this far down the line. So I would do that. And then again, I was just trying to remember what was that number again? I'm not sure if we all got that from Malia, but it sounds like it's 2-on-1. We'll leave you guys on that note. Please be safe. We'll see everybody next week. Mahalo.